beautiful sea turtle. Now these ancient creatures have roamed the seas for over 100 million years, navigating the ocean currents with remarkable agility, covering thousands of miles during their migrations. It truly embodies resilience and grace in the vast expanse of the world's oceans. Today, we're taking a very close look at a watch inspired by sea turtles, the Kame by Singaporean brand Ikigai, and we inspect every single aspect of this watch, as I always try to do for you, my lovely loyal viewers, all three of you. And just a quick note, for those of you who don't already know, I appreciate my vids can be quite long, so I do leave chapters in all my reviews, so if you want to watch specific sections of my breakdown, then you can use those chapters to hop around. Oh, and don't forget to please leave a subscribe and or a comment. I would absolutely love to hear what you think about this watch, or if you want to comment, to just say hello. And stick around to the end of my in-depth analysis of the Ikigai Kame, as I take it to the lovely seaside town of Bridlington, on the coast of the East Riding of Yorkshire, here in England, including a wander up to the cliffs of Suaby to hunt for crabs whilst the tide was out. As ever, it's great to have you here. Now let's look at an overdramatic specification of this watch, all in the next 90 seconds. Ikigai Watches is a brand founded by watch enthusiast Oscar Tan and are based out in Singapore. Now, inspired by the concept of Ikigai, a Japanese word which translates to a reason for being, Ikigai's mission is to ensure that each timepiece they produce is meticulously crafted to evoke a sense of purpose and fulfillment in its wearer. And Ikigai state that they aim to create a brand that specializes in developing dive watches at an affordable price, combining Oscar's love for diving with beautiful timepieces. And they've had previous success too, successfully launching the quite brilliant Maru, a diver's watch that featured not just a pretty cool dial and fantastic lume on that dial, but also along the side of its case too, showcasing their ability to really stretch the realms of creativity. And in my hand today is the Ikigai Kame, which draws inspiration from ancient sea turtles, and in my hand is the Solar Flare Colourway. Now this is also available in Horizon Blue, Mystic Purple, and this, the Solar Flare. So just to reiterate what was said in a oceanic 90-second spec, this, the Kame, comes in at 12mm thick, 40mm in diameter, 47mm lug to lug, with a bracelet 20mm width at the lug and tapering down to a touch under 18mm by the time it reaches the clasp. Okay, so starting with the dial. I mean, wow, this entire watch is very clearly styled and influenced on the shape of the sea turtle, but starting at the very center of the dial and working our way out, there is this quite stunning hexagonal pattern on stainless steel at the center of the dial that serves as a captivating focal point, drawing inspiration from the sea turtle's distinctive shell. Now, this attention to detail not only pays homage to the beautiful sea turtle, but also adds a sense of depth and character to the watch's overall aesthetic. I mean, just look at that brilliant patterning on the stainless steel. It's like a multi-hexagon rippled effect, effectively echoing the tactile sensation of a turtle's shell. And this tactile dimension really enriches the design of the watch, in my opinion. And surrounding the focal point is an outer ring, less shine, more of a matte effect, featuring an sunburst effect. Now, I've had to research pretty hard about the shapes of turtle shells to really understand the influence behind the design of this watch. So let me summarize in 30 seconds what I spent hours researching, if I may. So the large bony shell of a sea turtle offers protection from predators and abrasion, with its dorsal side referred to as the carapace. The adult carapace varies in shape from oval to heart-shaped depending on the species, and this is covered with a layer of plates called scutes. And scientists use the number and pattern of scutes to identify a sea turtle species. Loggerhead turtles, for instance, possess 5 central scutes and 5 lateral scutes. Now, the hour markers specifically mimic these scutes of a turtle shell, and for me, placing them on a plain outer ring surrounding the inner focal point creates a seamless blend that is really visually appealing. Now, those indices are big and bold with a polished outline too, and are a perfect complement to the turtle and its respective shell. Now, there's a sentence I didn't think I'd ever say when reviewing a watch. You have minute markers on the black riort, and note the brand name Ikigai on that riort. Now, interestingly, that brand name spans across the first 5 minutes, from the 12 to the 5, with the first letter I at the 12 and the final letter I at the 5, and the letter I adorns every single 5 minutes thereafter. Now, it's a little detail like that, for me, that I think really adds fantastic quirky depth to this dial. The hour and minute hands feature sword hands, broad at the pinion, flat in design, white in the middle to complement the hour markers, with a pretty aggressive taper towards a tip that very much feels rounded as opposed to sharp. The tip of the hour hand perfectly meeting the perimeter of that inner circle that showcases the hexagonal patterns, with the tip of the minutes hand extending out to the outer edges of the hour markers. The seconds hand is counterbalanced, lollipopped, with the lollipop in the shape of a turtle shell scute. Now, I personally really like the choice of those hands. The shape of the hour and minutes hand in particular perfectly complement the shape of the hour markers, in my opinion. The bezel is this fantastic 120 click unidirectional bezel that is arguably the star of the show on this watch. The bezel design of the Kame draws heavy inspiration from the shell of the loggerhead sea turtle, and the bezel's teeth are meticulously crafted to replicate the appearance of the loggerhead scutes, with a noticeable resemblance observed at the 12-hour mark, mirroring the post-central scute of the loggerhead. You also have textured bumps that have been integrated onto bezel to enhance its visual appeal and add distinctive character to the overall design. I mean, when I say that this watch, the dial and the bezel in particular, was inspired by sea turtles, I mean the entire design of both emanates almost entirely from that of the loggerhead turtle. There's nothing subtle here, it's all turtle, and it's fantastic in my opinion. Indeed, by rotating the bezel to align the 12 o'clock with the 3 o'clock position next to the crown, so using the crown as a head of the turtle, you can then fully appreciate the pronounced turtle-like characteristics of this watch. Now, how beautiful is that? You have numerals from the 10, every 10 up to the 50, and note the wording adjacent to the numerals, written in black in this polished chamfered edging. I mean, going back to my comment about detail, the detailing here on this watch is really cool. You also have minute markers in between those numerals, with the inverted triangle at the default 12 o'clock position, adding a nice amount of diverse complexity to this watch and this really unique bezel. Guarding the dial is a flat sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating underneath, demonstrating exceptional proficiency in minimizing glares and reflections. Now this not only ensures enhanced legibility of the watch dial, even under bright light conditions, but also intensifies the clarity and sharpness of that mesmerizing turtle shell design adorning the dial. In fact, those high polished outlines on the hour markers pop out in certain angles of light. In terms of lume, the Kame boasts BGW9 Superluminova on the hands and on those hour markers on the dial, with a lume on the numerals and the minute markers of the bezel, and also in between the parts of the bezel that mimic the scutes. The watch case is meticulously fashioned from 316L stainless steel, featuring these indents on the sides of the lugs that gracefully curve down from the crown, drawing inspiration from the flippers of the sea turtle. And notably, you'll find these flippers replicated on both sides of the case. It's as if all this watch lacks is the turtle's head to turn it into an actual steel turtle on your wrist. But in all seriousness, these indented sections of the case not only emulate the sea turtle's flippers, but also, in my opinion, gives the watch a sense of sophistication and lending it a touch of elegance. Now, going back to that crown, you have this very bold crown protruding from the 3 o'clock, screw down, and actually I really like the stiffness of the turn in particular. You really have to put a bit of welly into each turn. Now the crown itself has a lovely shape to it too, really complementing the bezel as it points outwards. It's almost like, I don't know, like an inverted conical crown. It is signatured and lume too, which is a lovely touch, and really maintaining Ikigai's brand positioning as one who pretty much specializes in lume. And also note that the Ikigai Kame is water resistant up to 20 ATM, 200 meters, so absolutely ideal if you want to dive to the depths of your local swimming baths or explore the Mediterranean Sea. The bracelet is a 316L stainless steel bracelet. Now this is a prototype, with Ikigai stating that they will change the middle links in the final production models to improve what Ikigai say isn't the best articulation. I mean, the bracelet isn't overly complex, the finishing is the same throughout. The face of this watch has quite a bit happening on it, so perhaps keeping the bracelet in the same finish as opposed to one with, say, I don't know, polished center links is probably a wise move. Plus, if anything else, a dare I say plain bracelet really keeps the focus on that fantastic complex dial and bezel. The clasp is pretty huge, and actually is pretty huge because it sports on-the-fly adjustment, and that reflects the brand owner's own personal love of diving. So if you don a wetsuit every now and again, then that on-the-fly adjustment is absolutely perfect. For me personally though, as a wearer of watches on my right wrist, having a clasp that has branding that runs horizontally across it does mean that the brand name is upside down, so a little pet hate of mine, but probably an anomaly that only affects very few people. The movement is a Miyota 9039, 24 joules, 28,800 beats per hour, 42 hours of power reserve, hand windable, hacking seconds, a member of the 9000 family of movements. This caliber is part of Miyota's premium automatic line, and one that is much loved by watch enthusiasts across the globe. And that brilliant movement is tucked away behind this stunning caseback, which features a sea turtle. Now, I always lean towards exhibition casebacks, but actually this screw down caseback is very much apt for the Kame. The sea turtle is also depicted in front of a Japanese Shinto shrine, so there's a nod to both the sea turtle and the Japanese roots behind the brand. On my 7.5 inch wrist it wears, for a 40mm diameter case, it wears pretty big. Very comfortable indeed, bit on the heavy side as you can imagine, 161 grams with this adjusted to my 7.5 inch wrists, and also that big bezel and the overall illusion of a lot of steel on the wrist makes this feel like I'm wearing a 42 or even 44mm diameter watch. Now this is a pretty classic 40x47mm sized diver's watch, but it certainly wears a bit bigger than that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't at all feel like a giant metallic sea turtle is nesting on my wrist, but more so his younger brother. I mean, it looks spectacular though. From the really funky design to the different elements such as the bezel, the inner part of the dial, the hour indices, which all could provide you with talking points. I mean, on the wrist you certainly get a talking point pretty much everywhere you look at this watch, not least its overall theme. It's a watch that defies the norm and takes a bit of a leap into the creative unknown. A watch that feels like it's a bit more than a diver's watch in my opinion. Now I wore it around a very sunny Bridlington, wearing a pair of black jeans, Air Force Ones and a mint green Nike hoodie, and this fitted in perfectly. At 12mm in thickness, it also very surprisingly tucked under my sleeve pretty well too. In terms of price, this will be launched on the 2nd of April 2024 on Kickstarter, with the early bird rate set at $399 USD, that's around 315 UK pound sterling, or 370-ish euros in today's market for the first 50 early birds, with the price then going up to 429 USD, 340-ish UK pound sterling, a touch under 400-ish euros thereafter for the remainder of the Kickstarter campaign. Fairly standard pricing, I feel. I mean, a super early bird at 350 USD would have been obviously a little bit more appealing, but I think overall the price is more or less where it should be at. Overall, well look, I absolutely adore the overall theme of this watch. For me, the exploration of the Ikigai Kame watch, inspired by the majestic sea turtle, encapsulates a journey into the depths of craftsmanship and creativity. Just as sea turtles symbolize resilience and grace in the vast oceans, so does the Kame reflect meticulous design and purposeful construction. From the intricate dial pattern to the hour markers to the bezel, all of which is meticulously crafted to replicate the turtle's scoots, every detail tells a story of homage and admiration to the beautiful and majestic sea turtle. I've really enjoyed spending time with this watch over the past few weeks, and actually, in a weird way, the experience I get with having this on my wrist and when I tell the time is that I appreciate not only its functionality, but also its symbolic connection to the ancient sea turtle. Ultimately, the Ikigai Kame emerges as more than just a timepiece. It stands as a quite brilliantly designed watch that makes me actually want to wear it every single day, but also makes me think about the magnificent sea turtle. And this watch pays the perfect tribute to the enduring legacy of these extraordinary creatures.
Bird. 1, 2. That was 3.